And my next guest is somebody that I've been looking forward to talking to. And this opportunity just happened to come up, and I thought this is the perfect opportunity to have you all share in this conversation, because he and his wife started something that I really admire. It's called the Virginia 30-Day Fund to help those small businesses that are struggling as a result of coronavirus. And so my guest is Pete Snyder. Pete is an entrepreneur here in Virginia and somebody who's been very, very active in the politics of our state. Pete, welcome to the John Fredericks Show. And, of course, I'm not John Fredericks, as you know. I'm E.W. Jackson.
E.W., my friend, fantastic being with you. Thank you so much for having me on. And I got to tell you, if Johnny Fredericks on vacation is listening right now, I don't know. I don't think he's getting his seat back. You've been throwing heat all morning long. Burston and I and B were listening in for the past hour, and I don't know. I think Johnny's got to look for a new job.
Well, listen,
yet another calling for you, EW.
Well, that's very kind of you. But I'll tell you something. Anybody who can do this 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, my hat's off to him. So he can keep doing it. No competition from me for that. But so look, Pete, you and I talked about, I guess it was a month ago now. You called me, and maybe a little longer than that, and told me about this Virginia 30-Day Fund that you and your wife, Bersa, started. Tell people a little bit about that. Just introduce them to it.
Sure thing, EW. And first and foremost, I just want to thank you for your kindness and generosity. For the listeners here, I called EW about probably 6 weeks ago, gave him the quick skinny on the Virginia 30-Day Fund, as I'm going to do in a second, and it took him a nanosecond to say, hey, I'm all in. And you helped save several businesses in your community of Chesapeake, EW, so I thank you for your generosity. But the long story short is, when the world started to fall apart, my wife Burston and I were in the worst possible place that you'd ever want to be when a global pandemic breaks out, which is Disney World with our 5-year-old daughter on spring break. And we realized that, things were starting to shut down there, and we hightailed it out of Orlando and back to our home in Charlottesville. And we just saw what was happening. And in our view, our nation was at war. And there were two fronts to the war. There's a health and wellness front, where you have the doctors and nurses and first responders that are literally saving lives every single day. But also, EW, as you and I discussed, there is a war on Main Street. These mandatory shutdowns are killing small businesses. And Burst and I don't have a medical background, so we felt kind of useless on that front of the war. So we enlisted in the economic war, and we created something that we call the Virginia 30-Day Fund, and that is to provide relief in the form of totally forgivable $3,000 loans to small businesses to keep their doors open. And we really thought that this was only going to be a 30-day thing, because we saw the CARES Act come out of Washington. And EW, as you know very well, the federal government sometimes has good intentions. And in this case, they took $2 trillion and we're going to pump it into the economy. That's something that only the federal government can do. But we saw that and said, oh, my gosh, the federal government doesn't move quickly. And most small businesses only have 2 weeks of cash reserve on hand. So the federal, hundreds of thousands of small businesses were going to die on the vine waiting for the federal cavalry to come, if it ever comes. And as we all know, some people were able to get PPP and SBA loans, but the federal government allegedly ran out of money, and a whole lot of folks didn't get a dime. And, in the past 11 weeks, we've been able to fund 571 small businesses across Virginia, with a jobs impact of about 3,700 jobs tied to those businesses. And we're still doing more. We will fund hundreds and hundreds more small businesses over the next couple of weeks and months. Thanks to your generosity, EW. Thanks to the listeners of the John Fredericks Show. John has been a great advocate and has educated his listeners about what we're doing. Many have donated. Many have sent small businesses in their community our way to apply so we can help them out. So it has been probably the most important and most meaningful work that I've ever done in my life, and I've been blessed to do a lot of neat, interesting things over the years. But This is the hardest work I've ever done, but it's also the most rewarding.
Well, you know, Pete, what I love about this is this is not politics. This is just a Virginia citizen, in your case, you and Burson, a Virginia couple, a Virginia family, helping out other Virginians, and that's the kind of thing that brings us together rather than tearing us apart. The other part of this is I've heard from a lot of small business people that the bureaucracy of getting this money that was available and going through the application process in some cases was just daunting. And my understanding is what you're doing keeps it pretty simple in order for people to get this very much needed help on a fairly quick basis.
Well, you got it. You nailed it, EW, which is we saw what was coming out of the federal government and the mountain of bureaucracy and pages of these applications. And you usually had to have a fancy consultant or accountant to get that stuff done. And we counter-programmed. We did the exact opposite. So if you go to our website, which is va30dayfund.com, you have a one-page application, and then you just have to take your smartphone and make a video of yourself and your business and tell us why you need the money, and that's it. So it takes people less than 10 minutes, in some cases 5 minutes to apply versus hours and hours and hours. And we get back to you within 3 days, up or down, whether we can help you or not. We'd love to help everyone. Unfortunately, we're staring at 3,200 open applications for help. And we keep, funding companies every single day. We raise money every single day, and we fund companies every single day. So if you know of businesses that are struggling, if you have a business that's struggling, please come and find us at va30dayfund.com and apply. We'd love to be able to help you. And if you're doing all right and you want to help during this horrible time for our Commonwealth and our country, but don't know how, please come and donate. You can sponsor a business for $3,000. EW was kind enough to do that. Or you could give $300 or $30 or $3. We'll take anything that you have so that we can continue to help others.
Well, Pete, my wife and I want to do more. I wasn't sure because I know that this is not intended to be a permanent thing. We weren't sure exactly whether it was still going on. Now that we know it is, we want to do more. And I would encourage the listeners to this program. This is just good stuff. I mean, it just doesn't get any better than this, helping a small business that is trying to stay alive for reasons that no fault of their own. I mean, nothing. This stuff just hit us all out of the blue. So Pete, tell us some of the stories. I mean, you were sharing with me some of these really inspiring stories about how much this has meant to some of these small businesses you've helped.
Well, EW, just yesterday, we was on the phone and I called up the owner of Frosty's Rail Stop in Louisa. Which is, really kind of an ice cream shack that does hot dogs and shaved ice and all that kind of stuff in Louisa County. And the owner bought it 2 years ago, and it was doing beautifully. And this thing comes from out of the sky and shuts her down. And, within 30 seconds of being on the phone, the owner starts crying. And because she is so happy that she is getting some help. And as she said to me, Pete, we applied for everything. We didn't hear a word from anyone. We feel like we're caught under the couch cushions here and no one's paying attention. And, thank goodness for what y'all are doing. And look, EW, we don't expect that $3,000 is going to solve all the world's problems for people. That's not the intent. The intent is to be a lifeline, to help keep some people on staff for a few more weeks or pay the rent for a month or, lighten the burden. That's really what it's all about. But, 60% of the time when I'm talking to people on the phone and we tell them that they've been funded, it gets emotional. And then half the time, EW, I'm not a big weeper. I'm a fairly stoic guy. They get me, and I start crying. My wife thinks I'm the biggest softie in the world right now. But, it's just it's entrepreneurs helping entrepreneurs, Virginians helping Virginians. And, I just want to speak to something that you said a couple minutes ago, which really meant the world to me, is, the media tells us we are so divided as a country, and we're so divided as a Commonwealth. And look, if you read the newspaper or flick on the news, you will see all sorts of different examples of how, quote unquote, divided we are. In this effort is like nothing else I've ever seen, where it's Democrats and Republicans working together, not even no one cares. They just want to roll up their sleeves and help. So we have UEW, and Scott Serval had the same. He's a liberal state senator from Alexandria. I got him on the phone for 3 minutes. We don't run deep. I don't have a very deep relationship with him. He said yes in a heartbeat, and he's been wonderful in guiding businesses along Route 1 in Alexandria our way, and giving helpful counsel. And it really is it's been a wonderful thing of people not, taking off the jerseys, rolling up their sleeves, and helping others. And I hope and expect that to continue in the weeks and months ahead. And, we're doing what the private sector should do. We can't rely on the government. You talk about this all the time, EW, and you do it in a wonderful way. But we can't rely on government and nor should we, for everything. We can't rely on it for our income. We shouldn't rely on it for, to dictate how our life should come out. The private sector and individuals need to rely on each other and work together. We have free will. Hopefully we continue to have freedom. We need to fight for it. But this is exactly what the private sector should be doing, which is turning on a dime, innovating, solving problems out there.
Absolutely. Look, you are so right. And I think most of the people listening probably know you, that you are a Republican, and often Republicans are unjustly and unfairly maligned as not caring about people. But the fact of the matter is, we do what we do, at least I know you do, and I do, precisely because we care about people, and we want people to thrive, and we want people to prosper, and we want everybody to do well. We think this country offers that opportunity. But you're right. We've got to step in and not just talk about it, but actually do something about it. So that's why I felt the same way that state senator did, and I'm glad to know you're getting help across the board on this because, to me, it was a no-brainer. I mean, like, where do I sign? Because it just doesn't get any better than that, providing that kind of direct help to people who need it. Now, for folks who want to donate, Pete, where do they go again? Let's give them that website again.
Sure, EW. It's VA30dayfund.com. So VA30dayfund.com.
Well,
we
look,
would love your help.
No, go ahead.
And we would if your listeners know of businesses that are hurting, send them our way. If you want to help out, if you can donate, please do. And EW, we're just, again, I'm grateful for your friendship. I'm grateful for your leadership. I'm grateful for your help and advocacy and what Burson and I and so many others are doing. And I can't wait to get you on the phone calling a handful of businesses around the Commonwealth, and I want you to be calling these folks and tell them that they've been funded. It's a magical experience.
Well, Pete, you know this, and I want listeners to know it. You didn't call me and say, "Hey, you're subbing for John. Can I come on and talk about this?" You were in the forefront of my mind because I said this is something more people need to hear about and know about because I just think it's such a wonderful thing. So, God bless you and Burson for what you're doing, and I just hope more and more people will get behind you because right now it looks like this thing is going to be a while. Are with us for a little bit longer. And in the meantime, we need to keep doing what we can to help those folks out there who are struggling to stay alive with these small businesses. So
well,
God bless you,
EW. We appreciate the help. And, unfortunately, we're in quadruple overtime right now. We thought we would have folded up the tent a while ago. But you know what? People are bleeding out there, and we're going to be around. We're sticking with this, and we're going to be funding hundreds and hundreds of more companies in the coming days and coming weeks. And we're grateful for your help, EW. God bless you.
God bless you, too.